Okay, good morning. Good morning. Shir sponsored for Refuah Shlema to Ben ציון, Raubin, Ben Shineindel, Orit, Aster, and Yomi Marati, Aster with Rivka. Now, I just want to go over a couple of quick points that to clarify what we mentioned before. Let's say you have a big candle, very common. They sell these candles all over the place. They're called Havdalah candles. They're fancy. And you have multiple wicks going right down the middle. So in the Mitzvah it says it'll depend on your candle. Sometimes they are touching and right near each other. And sometimes they have a little bit of wax in between. And sometimes it depends how far down you go on your candle. So bottom line, is that kosher? So we did mention yesterday how the Mishnah Berurah is not a fan of this situation. But I must point out that the Aruch Shulchan says beferush it is not a problem. And Kim'at, every source that if not every source that I've looked at and looked for besides the Mishnah Berurah says all you need to have is 2 wicks, and no one mentions this chumrah at the Mishnah Berurah seems to be machadesh that they have to be separated.
So
the Mishnah.
All the candle makers don't follow the Mishnah Berurah.
Right. So the candle makers apparently are not following the hitter of the Mishnah Berurah. Avuka itself is a mitzvah min ha-muvchar. But anyways, obviously we're paying money and we want to be mekayim the mitzvah min ha-muvchar with an avuka, with a torch. But I do not think it's a problem according to most poskim, if not kimat all. I think that's fair to say. If those wicks would be on some level intertwined and spun together, so then obviously many or most or some would agree with the Mishnah Berurah that that's already considered like one thick wick. Okay. The next thing that we mentioned upon, okay, I don't want to get myself in trouble over here, but the Mishnah Berurah also discusses, or I perhaps may have misrepresented the Mishnah Berurah. The question is, do the 2 wicks do the 2 flames, must they be touching? Or is it enough just for them to be close together? Especially sometimes we buy those lechatchila Havdalah candles, and sometimes the middle, so you can have 4 of them, for example, and the middle 2, there's something wrong, they don't work anymore, and you're left with the 2 sides, or even 2 that are next to each other. Sometimes as it goes along, they're not even the flames, certainly the wicks, and also the flames are not even touching. So it does seem pretty clear according to most it does seem to be that by the way, the Mishnah Berurah also gets it from the Pri Megadim. Okay, on that last topic. On the 2 wicks. On the multiple wicks. Okay. So, sorry, there's one other source that I found. Okay. Then as far as this topic. So it's interesting to note that you mentioned the avuka. I could think of at least 3 places where it comes up. It comes up by here. Havdalah comes up by looking for bir chametz, taf lamed gimel, and it comes up in Yoredeya Yud Aleph. There where it talks about shchita. So there, the Ramah, the Darkei Moshe, which is the Darkei Moshe, the Shach, and it seems to be others as well. They compare their avuka is an avuka is an avuka. So whatever it applies here, it applies there. And in the other places, it's clear that they write, even if the flames are near each other but not touching, that has the din of an avuka. So that would apply here as well. According to, most actually don't discuss it into such great length, but generally it's clear from all that they need to be near each other. Preferably, the Magen Avraham says the candle should at least be touching each other. But again, they have to be near each other. Lav davka mamish touching. I think that's fair to say. One other important thing I do want to mention, which I think comes up more often than we think, and again, I don't know if I was clear enough, sorry to go back to Reish Pei Tet for a moment. So we learned, it's already almost 10 simanim, wow, we just did it, I think we did it this week, if not last week Thursday. Anyway, so, an important issue comes up on kiddush morning. This can happen kiddush night, but generally this is only a real issue for the morning. A person, for whatever reason, it does happen once in a while, where they cannot find any wine or grape juice, and they want to eat something, they want to drink something. So we learned, it's clear from basically all the poskim, the Shulchan Aruch, that if there is no wine and no Chamar Medina, and then again we just mentioned Chamar Medina, it is actually very questionable what it is. Most honest poskim do not recommend using Chamar Medina lechatchila. It is definitely because of what it is, and there is a lot to be discussed. Okay, some even say based on the written poskim or Rambam and whatever, Kimat, the Chazon Ish is famous for it doesn't even exist. But anyways, bottom line, we know Klal Yisrael uses it. So the question though is,
I just want to interject. It's a Meferish Gemara.
it's a Beferish Gemara. No, but what is Chamar Medina if we have it nowadays? No, for sure there's a din of Chamar Medina. Nowadays do we have? I'll just, because some, when you read the Rambam and others, it seems to be, it has to be a drink that most people drink all week long. And maybe more than even one cup of coffee. And coffee is also very water-based. So again, we're not going to have a shir in Chamar Medina, but it is a question what it is. But anyways, alright, so my main point was, even if there is no Chamar Medina, and there's no
Wine or grape juice.
no wine or grape juice, thank you. So what do? You're stuck. So generally everyone says, what do? You eat. You do not have to fast. The Magen Avraham, the Beis Yosef, and others, other Rishonim, I forget who he quotes, maybe the Agur. But anyways, there are the Agur. Anyways, the point is, it's not to take away your own Shabbos. So Bishat Adchak, even the Mishnah Berurah, in case I misquoted it, the Magen Avraham and the Mishnah Berurah who follows the Magen Avraham says even before Chatzot Hayom, very explicit, the Magen Avraham, even before Chatzot Hayom, if you cannot find grape juice or wine or Chamar Medina, then you should just eat. And you do not have to ruin your oneg Shabbos. So just to give a couple quick examples. Right off the bat, obviously, if you have a friend, a neighbor, or maybe a stranger, if you have a little courage, you should ask to borrow or to drink a little bit of their wine. Okay? Obviously, if you're makpid on Vesone Matanas Yechia for Mishlei, which is recommended, you might not be comfortable. Okay. Now, what happens if there's a little kiddush, you're going home, you're having lunch, you have grape juice, in 20 minutes from here, it's no big deal. But you feel like having a cookie in shul while they're making when they're making a kiddush, and it's no big deal not to eat. So I think everyone would agree you should not eat. For that, it's not called Bishat Adchak. You can say hello to your friends and you can go home in 20 minutes. Okay. However, what happens if you have a long wait? You're not going to get till your kiddush, to your grape juice, whether it's in your house or you're a guest, and you're in shul, you finish nates, or an early minyan, or whatever, you finish at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it could be 10, it all depends on the situation. I'm not giving a clear agdara. There is none. You can look, you will not find it. There's no clear agdara on what this is. So anyways, you're waiting 2-3 hours, and you're thirsty, or you're hungry. So I think on this example, everyone I think would agree that at some point you have Bishat Adchak. The purpose of this mitzvah is not to take away your own Shabbos. Let's say you're very thirsty or very hungry. So, and it's going to be a while. Even if it's not such a long wait. Or you're not feeling well. Or chatzot might pass by the time you get grape juice. So these are all clear cases. I think one would agree. Let's say you go to a major social event, a major kiddush. Or you walked far. Or it's like, you're celebrating. And that's another time where you're there and it's going to ruin your day if you came to a big social event, you're planning to be there for an hour, and you can't eat anything, and you're stuck, and you can't find anything. Or if you have to make a very long walk afterwards to get back home to get your kiddush. Or you hang out, dibuk chaverim, you sit down, you sing, you share divrei Torah with your friends every week. And you missed, he said kiddush, there's nothing left, and you're there for the next 45 minutes singing and hanging out with your friends. Okay. So these are all examples. Thank you, sorry. So that's all. Just wanted to get that out there.
If you just have bread.
So bread could be used for kiddush, and even for, and obviously, I would use Coke or coffee for Chamar Medina in that case as well. But, okay.
You would.
I would. But I'm saying at least in the case where you're stuck. I'm not saying I would use it for Friday night maybe, but for Havdalah, because it's a whole bracha that's depending on that drink.
But the key point
in the morning.
Is you're not obligated to ruin your own Shabbos.
Right. That's what I wanted to stress.
Just because you don't have something to make.
Because so many times I hear, I know I spend too much time, but so many times you hear people, I couldn't eat anything, I couldn't drink anything, I'm so annoyed because I couldn't find grape juice. And meanwhile, they could have eaten without kiddush, or said kiddush on a shahakol by themselves, especially women more often than men this happens, and they could have just said it on a can of Coke. Okay. Sorry. Suma, Yud Gimel. Suma Eino Mevarech. Reish Tzadi Chet. We're still in Havdalah. Reish Tzadi Chet, or back to Havdalah. Yud Gimel. Suma Eino Mevarech. If you are blind, you cannot say a bracha on Bareya Merei Ha'esh. Because you cannot see it, you cannot benefit from it. Okay. And then there's a tzarech iyun if you could be motzi somebody else who's chayav.
You know what we learned about the someone that Isha in a reach, someone who can't smell, can still mevarech al something for the sake of his children. So why would
So here it's a tzarech iyun. We'll leave it as a tzarech iyun. You're right. Even there it's a bit of a question. Yeah. Okay. There's what to discuss. Yudalid. Hayu yoshvim beveit hamidrash v'viu lehem. I don't think you want me to spend another 10 minutes on that. Hayu yoshvim beveit hamidrash v'viu lehem ur. Echad mevarech l'kulam. Now let's say you're in a beis medrash, they show up with one Havdalah candle. Do you walk around, each one quietly doing Havdalah? Or saying Merei Eish? Or do you bang on the bima, make everyone quiet, everyone has to pause, get quiet, wait a minute, and then do it. It causes a little bit of bittul Torah. But that's preferable because it's not a huge amount of bittul Torah, and Berov Am Hadrat Melech is more important. Okay? So one person says it for everybody. Tetvav, right? Right. And then there's just one question is, we mentioned that, and even if you're Yotze, we mentioned this already. Fine. Let's go on. Tedvav. Ner betoch cheko o betoch panas, perish kli notin ba shelot tichbe. When I moved to Eretz Yisrael, I didn't know that a panas was a flashlight. Happens to be in the Mishnah too. But anyway, so you see it comes, it's not a modern day word that, that's a ציon invented. Alright. So here we are. If you have a fire in your pocket or inside, it means inside something, or some kind of a kli, or a lantern, there you go, or betoch aspeklaria, or it's through some kind of a glass cover. So then, ro'et shalhevet ve'eno, we said we don't say bracha, right? In this case, so ro'et shalhevet ve'eno mishtamish le'ora ve'eno ro'et shalhevet, ein mevarchin alea ad she'eh ro'et shalhevet u'mishtamish le'ora. Alright, so just to say what it means is, in order to say the bracha of Merei Eish, you have to clearly say the bracha on a not covered up flame. You have to be looking directly at you have to be able to see the flame, look at the flame, and be able to benefit from the light. So, if it's covered up and you cannot see it or not benefit, you cannot. So all the poskim say if it's a non-transparent, a very opaque kind of cover and you cannot see the flame, certainly you cannot say the bracha, even if you get light. But it's a machloket if it's completely clear and you can actually see the flame through the clear glass. So then that's a machloket. Most say you're allowed to, but some say you're not to, so it's better to avoid it. What about chashmal? Again, we're not going to have all share in chashmal. Even if you hold that electricity, like an incandescent light bulb where there's heat and light, is the din of Eish. Some say for Havdalah it's better not to, because number one, it's covered, and there's a special din that we're supposed to use a revealed fire, just like Adam Arishon had. And here, Chazal made it takana. So again, it also depends what kind of light bulb, if it's clear or not clear, that you can see the flame or not. And also, some say it's not even similar. An incandescent light bulb is not similar to the fire from Adam Rishon, and Chazal didn't make the bracha on such a light bulb. All right.
It seems like an aspect as a Greek word for a type of mirror. It was like a mirror type of apparatus that magnified.
A mirror apparatus?
Yeah,
okay.
A mirror apparatus that magnified whatever little light was in there. So you're not really seeing the light, you're seeing the reflection.
So everyone says a mirror is also for sure not okay.
This is a different type of light.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that could be. But the way I think a lot of the Achronim explain it, it sounds like what they're outlawing is not allowing is if it's even a non-clear, opaque glass, because you can't see the flame anymore. But same idea. Obviously, glasses, all the poskim I believe say is not a problem. Right? It's batel to your eyes, to you. It's not a covering of the fire. You're just being able to see. Although some people are a little machmer to peek above their glasses so that they're not looking through the glass. But okay, just a chumrah. Reish tzadi tet. Shalalecha v'lasot shum malacha kodem shiavdil. We can't work and do malacha. We're talking about malacha deraisa or malacha derabanan. We're talking about malachas of Shabbos. Okay, one's not allowed to. Okay, Aleph asur lechol shum davar ofil lishtot yain or shar mashkin chutz min hamayim. Before you do Havdalah, this is the bracha Havdalah that we all know about. We're not talking about a tachan and tanu. We're talking about the bracha of Havdalah. One is not allowed to eat or drink anything except for water. Interesting, when it comes to kiddush, you can't even have water once you're chayav. Here you're allowed to have water. Chazal apparently were not so strict. They felt it was probably too difficult. Okay. Misha techshach ad sheyavdil. Once it's Seita Kochavim, and some say even from Shkia. Okay, so the general halacha for most, I believe, they say is once Shkia starts, you're not allowed to, unless you're going to have your meal, then b'di'evid, most are makil to start your meal after Shkia. Okay. Anyway, so the Bein Hashmashot is a question. So, Aval, im haya yoshev ve'ochel mibod yom v'chashchalo, but if you started your meal, shalashidis, before Shkia, and perhaps even during Bein Hashmashos, and then even Seis comes in, it gets completely dark, Ein tzarich lahavsik. You don't have to stop. You don't have to stop anything. You can drink, eat, whatever you want. And if you're eating and drinking, and then it gets dark, if you were just drinking, not eating, so then tzarich lahavsik. Once it says, or perhaps Bein Hashmashos kicks in, then you have to stop. V'yesh omrim dahani mili b'sfeik chashecha, and some say this refers even to safek chashecha, aval v'dai chashecha afil yoshev ve'ochel paris mapa umavdil v'gomer sudato. So some say that even once Shkia happens, once it's Bein Hashmashos, you have to stop drinking. You can't drink anything. That's okay. I think that's what most hold lechatchila. But once you're eating, and here he holds, and then seis comes in, you have to stop. So that is not the accepted halacha. Agav minhag pashut kisvar rishona, and the minhag is definitely that once you start your meal, even if it's way after Rabbeinu Tam seis, you're allowed to keep on eating without Havdalah, and you don't stop in the middle. Okay, and the Mishnah Berurah says one should not even be machmer and say Havdalah in the middle. First of all, it creates other halachic problems, but the Mishnah Berurah says, because it's like you're megaresh the melech. You're in the middle of Shalashis, which is you're with the melech of Shabbos, and then you say Havdalah as if to say get out, right in the middle. It's kind of rude. Beis. Hayu shotim v'amru. Bo v'navdil, and they're in the middle of drinking, and someone says, come, let's say Havdalah. So the case is not when you're just drinking. If you're just drinking, so everyone says, number one, you have to stop anyway to say Havdalah. And if you're just drinking and so then that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, the case is you're in the middle of your seuda, and someone says, they're eating and drinking, and then someone says, come, let's say Havdalah. So the halacha is, even though someone said that, since they didn't do Havdalah, that's not called a hefsek, and you keep on eating, you don't have to say a new bracha rishona. Okay. And v'yesh mi shachalik b'davar, but the halacha doesn't follow that opinion. Okay. Gimel. Kesher mafsik lahavdil. Real simple. Once you start your meal, just keep going. until you finish, and then you worry about Havdalah. Gimel. Kishem mafsik lahavdil in tzarich levarich berpri hagefen al kos Havdalah. Yesh omrim shetzarich. Okay. If you're going to say Havdalah in the middle of your meal, so then what do? Or in the middle of even just drinking wine. You're just drinking wine with your friends, whatever, and then you want to start saying Havdalah. So what do? So the halacha. Okay, sorry. So if you're in the middle of the meal, you don't have to stop. And if you're going to say Havdalah in the middle of the meal, if you are going to say it, and you already said Borei Priya Geffen because you were drinking, then you do not say Borei Priya Geffen again. You just jump right into your psukim, ner, besamim, and the bracha of Havdalah, and you just completely skip Borei Priya Geffen.
Do you need to say afterwards?
Yeah, you always say it afterwards. But you don't repeat Shemana Esrei in that case, if you missed it. But you would say it Tachanatan. Okay? If you want to, but there's still no need. Okay.
Not a recommended practice.
Now, what if you're in the... Right, and you don't even have to say a new Birkas Hamotzi. That's in the case of if you stopped in the middle of a meal. Now, let's say you are only drinking. You're not eating. You're drinking from before Shkia until you have to stop. Whether that's Shkia or it says a little unclear. Okay. So now, let's say Seis comes, or whatever it is. You're saying Havdalah now. We learned you're even allowed to say Havdalah without Ner before it says. Whatever the case is. You've been drinking wine, not eating. You've just been drinking wine. You already said Borei Priya Geffen, and now you want to say Havdalah right away. You were already Yotzei Borei Priya Geffen. So the halacha is the same. You don't say a new Borei Priya Geffen because you're already Yotzei Borei Priya Geffen. And you just start, this is not I don't think it's a very common scenario, but if it ever comes up, you do not say, you just jump into Psukim, skip Hagefen, Besamim, Ner, and Havdalah. Yesh Omrim Shetzarich, some say no, because it's a special kiddush, it's a geffen, it's attached to Havdalah, it's different, but that's not the halacha. Okay. Okay. Now, alright, so, fine, let's go on. Dalet. If you were eating and became dark, she'amarnu she'ein tzarich lahapsik. Alright, we learned you don't have to stop. Gomer sudatum mevarich kat hamazon al hakos. So what do? You finish eating, then you say Birkas Hamazon. Let's say you say it on a cup, right? And you're going to say Borei Priya Geffen after Birkas Hamazon. V'achar kach mavdil alav, and then you want to say Havdalah on this cup. V'im, and you're allowed to, if you only have, especially if you only have one. V'im yesh lo shnei kosos mevarich Birkat Hamazon al echad u'mavdil al echad. But really, if you have enough wine, you have a bottle of wine for yourself. So what should you do? You should say Borei Priya Geffen twice. You should say Borei Priya instead of doing putting them both mitzvahs on one cup of wine. If you have 2 cups, right? So then when you say Birkas Hamazon on Shalosh Shidduchos, if you say it on a cup, you say Borei Priya Geffen and you drink. All right? I know Minhag Ashkenaz, I believe by most circles, is they save it for after Havdalah. But okay, the Shulchan Aruch says you drink, and that is what some Sfardim do. It's a machloken among Sfardim. Some do, some don't. Okay. But anyways, and you take the second cup, and that you use for Havdalah. Okay. So that's what the Shulchan Aruch is talking about. Good? Alright. Right. And this, the Mishnah Berurah says, this is for someone who normally says a cup of wine on benching. Obviously, now's not the time to start. Okay, if you never do. Hey! Ta'a ve'achal kodem shehivdil yachol ve'havdil acharkach. If a person made a mistake and he ate before Havdalah, he can still do Havdalah. There's no time limit. I mean, there is a time limit, but it's not too late. You can still do Havdalah. Vav. Shachach v'avdil b'motzei Shabbos. If you made a mistake and you didn't do Havdalah the whole Motzei Shabbos, all Saturday night, mavdil ad sof yom shlishi. So the halacha says, stam is you have up until the first 3 days of the week until, what is that, Tuesday afternoon, right? You have up until Tuesday afternoon to say Havdalah. V'yesh omrim she'enu mavdil ela kol yom rishon v'lo yoter. And no, there's another opinion that says you only have one day until Sunday afternoon. And the one exception for this opinion would be if there's a fast day, like Tisha B'Av, Saturday night, Sunday. So even this opinion would say Sunday night is your latest to say Havdalah. Right. Well, it's not whiskey. V'davka b'rei pri hagefen v'hamavdil ben kodesh l'chol. Now we're only talking about b'rei pri hagefen and hamavdil. Or the psukim don't matter either way. Some say, some don't. But regarding to the brachos, that's what you have Sunday for, or perhaps 3 days for. Aval al haner u'besamim eino mevarich al motzei Shabbos. We learn only a ner besamim that you only have Saturday night for. Right? You snooze, you lose. V'yesh mi she'omer da'ada kaimelan ta'am mavdil haner milei chadi hivdil belel motzei Shabbos. Aval im lo hivdil balayla kivan shetam shuv eino mavdil. And there's an opinion that says that, and also if you eat, then you can no longer say it once Saturday night passes. Okay. Now, Haga, v'ikar kisvar rishona. So the Ramah paskins, no matter what, you have 3 days if you miss it. Really, you should try not to. And if you're fasting, listen to somebody else say Havdalah Motzei Shabbos, because that's the proper time to say it. Alright. But you do have up to 3 days. Most Sfardim, right, Ben Ishchai, Orach Chaim, Avadia says, because of Savik Brachos HaHakel, the latest you can say Havdalah is day 1, right, Sunday afternoon, and that's it. And if you're fasting 3 days and you're going to miss it, I don't know how you can fast for 3 straight days, but if you are, good for you, then listen to somebody else. But if there's nobody there, so if you know you're going to fast 3 days, and you know you're not going to be able to hear from anybody, I don't know where you are, so then on Shabbos afternoon you say Havdalah with a kos. You just don't do a ner. I'm not sure about Besamim, but you don't do ner. And then you're still allowed to drink until Marav, until Shkia, at least until Shkia. Because even though you said Havdalah, and this Mishnah Berurah points out, same thing for all week long. If a person accepts upon a fast himself for the nighttime, you can say Havdalah, even if you accept the fast, and you daven for the fast for the night, and you daven Marav early, you're still allowed to eat after Marav until Shkia.